this technique, the instant fact checker technique. So, is there anybody who would like to play with me to really experience the instant fact checker technique? And I'll explain what I'm doing and what this is all about. All right, Marilyn, you're a brave woman. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. Everybody appreciate Marilyn. So, what is your limiting belief, or what change do you want to make, Marilyn?
The change I'd like to make is getting rid of extra words when I'm speaking. So if I'm reading something, I add so and okay. And I drive myself crazy when I listen to a recording.
So, what I heard you say, and please tell me if I got this wrong, what I heard you say is extra words. When I'm reading something, I add extra words, so and Do you do that when you're reading something or when you're speaking about something, talking about something?
So I probably do it both, but the only time I was recording, so I'm recording scripts. And so I'm listening to how I'm doing them. And as I'm going through them, that's what I do.
And what does that make you think? When you say that's what I do, what does that make you think?
It makes me think that I get a kind of a feeling that I'm uneasy. And so it seems I'm buying extra time or
I need to
feeling
interrupt, but let me just ask, are you uneasy when you're doing that?
a little bit, a little bit.
Okay. So you're a little bit uneasy, and when you hear that, you are feeling that you are uneasy, or you think that maybe you've been spotted as being a little bit uneasy or uncomfortable.
Well, it seems like it's more of I'm filling up space. So as I'm searching through the next thing that I'm going to say, because it's kind of a complicated thing, if the client responds this way, then I go to another section. So it seems like that's where I'm going, buying time. And so I'm filling up space, and it seems unnecessary.
Or are you speaking Ericksonian?
No. And it's not a hypnotic script. It's not for hypnosis. It's a different kind of script.
My misunderstanding, I'm sorry. So give me a specific example of the script you're talking about.
Um, it's I mean, it's just having it would be like if okay, so how big does the image seem? Right? Okay, focus on it. Just watch it grow to its full size. How big is the image now? Continue to focus on the image. I mean, it's along those lines. And depending on what they say, then I have to jump to another section. It just I listened to a 2 hour recording of this, and I've said and all those words 100 times.
I didn't hear you say those words a single time.
Well, it's also not a 2 hour. And I'm
So,
conscious of it too, Karen.
so okay. And you are conscious of it. Is that what you just said? And you are
When I'm
conscious.
speaking with you, yes, I'm very conscious of it. But when I'm just doing my thing, unconsciously, I'm just reading, I'm adding in all these extra words.
And that is a problem for you because when
It's
you're just reading, when you're just reading.
it's annoying. I was listening to the recording and I was like, oh my God, if I had to listen to this woman, I would, yeah.
Okay, I think Marilyn, I'm misunderstanding here a little bit. I thought so when you're listening to yourself do a recording, you've heard yourself do and so and things of that nature.
Yes.
You do that when, as you're listening, what was going through your mind when you were doing that?
I was a little horrified.
In listening, but as you were recalling doing it,
I wasn't there. It's like I was out of my mind, you would say. I'm just reading.
isn't that interesting? Because what you just told me, Marilyn, is that when you're talking to me, and I said, I didn't hear you do any of those things. And you said, because I was focused, because I'm really paying attention to what I'm doing.
Mhm.
I'm curious about not paying attention when you are recording something that is important that you're going to listen to later. I'm curious about the dissociation from the importance of doing the thing that you're doing. I'm curious about that.
Yeah. So the exercise for me is to read the script and then I turn the script into my instructor.
I wonder what might happen if you focus on reading that script as you're recording it in the same way that you were focusing on reading when you were reading to me.
That would be interesting, and it seems like it would be hard to do both, right? Because one, I'm concentrating so much on just reading it that I'm not aware of anything else in the universe. There could be an explosion going off behind me, and I wouldn't know. And so it's almost like I'm not fully in my body and present when I'm reading. I have something to read, so it's so easy to just read it.
And if that is a problem for you, I'm wondering if you're willing to get into your body when you read it so that you are staying present with what you're reading.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I certainly could try that. I mean, more than try it, I can do it.
And then you know what you've got? Then, Marilyn, you have some important feedback. If that works for you, then you know slowing down and becoming present is your way of stopping the extra words
Oh,
or eliminating the extra words.
you're good, Karen, because I can actually, I can actually see myself doing it, and I can feel the difference as you say that. Yeah, so thank you for that. I mean, just incredible, a shift that happened.
And now, what happened? Do you mind now, Marilyn, if we talk about that and talk about what happened?
So I could feel the shift inside of me because I could picture myself reading the script and actually being present and knowing that I was being present while reading the script versus I'm just hit the record button. I'm going to read the script and I'm going to write. I'm just not really there. I kind of up here elevated, a little bit panicky and not grounded and in my body. Yeah. Totally
But the
different.
moment you ground yourself to read aloud to me, there were no extraneous words.
Right.
And you caught it. You're the one who knew. You're the one who solved the problem, Marilyn. Are you aware of that?
With your help.
Well, with my listening. Let's just say that I'm listening. Okay, now let's break this down a little bit. Why I call it the instant fact checker.
Okay.
Okay. The instant fact checker technique. Sometimes I call it the debate technique. And sometimes I say that I learned all of my most important therapy tools in high school debate. Because when I had to debate someone in a competition, in a competitive atmosphere, I had to do 2 rounds of negative, the negative side, and 2 rounds of the affirmative side. Now, the affirmative side had an advantage. The affirmative side came in with their plan already written out, scripted, and they read the script. And it was my job in the competition to listen to that script carefully and find anything that I could pick apart, anything that I could yank out of there and call in question. And I only had to convince the judge of the tournament that that was questionable. In other words, I had to break up their belief system. Now, I didn't know all of this back then. I know it now. But that's what I learned, to pick apart an argument. When a client comes to me, they bring their case to me. They bring their BS to me. They bring their well-worn, well-rehearsed script to me. So they're the affirmative side of the debate. Now, I take the opposite side and find anything in their story that I can yank out and call into question. Do you know what that's going to do with a limiting belief? Marilyn, do you know what that did with you? It collapsed your limiting belief. As soon as we scrambled the way that you were perceiving that or thinking about that, you couldn't go back and think about that thing in the same way again. And we did that by me fact checking you. Give me a specific example. And you said, well, here, and you proved your point to me without any of those extra words when speaking. That's what you said.
Yeah.
You had zero, none of them in there.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, obviously, I don't know what we're talking about here. And I didn't mind telling you that. Obviously, I'm confused. Help me with this because I don't know what we're wanting here. And then you reiterated, and I said, fact check time. I didn't hear any extra words. Well, that's because I was focused on talking to you. Bing, 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 bing. Thanks for solving that problem.
Yeah, that's brilliant, Karen. It's brilliant. Thank you so much.
You're brilliant, Marilyn. You did it.
Well, you need to come live with me and follow me around.
I have a program like that. It's prohibitively expensive, but we can certainly talk about that if you'd
Okay.
like.
Karen, there's this legal principle, of course, about reasonable doubt. And I think this is a great example of that, where something that you've been looking at, there's just something that maybe this isn't right. And that loosens the frame and allows the whole change to take place. So that's really just beautiful at principle. But I gotta tell you, and I hope you don't mind me, jumping in to share
Please,
this.
please.
I was delighted to see something. I love the way that my mind changes about things when I suddenly get a nuance that I'd never gotten before. And there's this notion of association and disassociation that you were talking about, right? Well, it's kind of interesting when she was talking about not being there or being dissociated. Her description of it was that she was out of my mind. And
Yes.
I thought I have never heard that phrase before with any conscious awareness of this notion of dissociation being related. I thought it was like, oh my God, what an interesting insight. So I've discovered, by the way, that the opposite of that, then, if you have been out of your mind, is now you have the opportunity to associate, which would be to come to your senses.